I'm not sure why people think these things, but they do. So let's start off with no. 1. People believe that if you carry a credit card in your wallet, it will increase your credit score. The name of the game here is usage. The reason why this doesn't work is because you still have to use the credit card in order for it to report. If you're not using it, then it is not going to get reported, and there is no way that it can increase your credit score. If you're carrying around a credit card, all that's going to show on your credit report is an account that's open and available, but not necessarily being used. And that doesn't necessarily help you. But if you were to take that credit card and start using it, and we'll talk about good usage later, then that would help you. But just carrying it around, no. That was myth no. 1. Myth no. 1. Myth no. Ooh, you will need to pay off your credit card bill in full every single month. Ju donte. I know a lot of people like to do this, and this is kind of becoming the norm. But in reality, you don't have to do that at all. It really comes down to your personal preference. A lot of people want to pay off their bills in full because they want to avoid paying any interest. That makes sense. But a lot of people also do it because they feel like they're supposed to, or that's what they should be doing. And honestly, that's not the case. As long as you're paying the minimum balance, then technically you're not late and you're not getting penalized for that. If you can pay it off in full, that's great. Do it. But if you can't, don't fret over it. Just make sure you're making those minimum payments on time, because that's what really matters. Then you're not accruing any late fees or penalties. And once you start doing that, then you're building some good credit history. Again, paying it off in full every single month is not required in order to build good credit. No, I know we just said that you don't have to pay it off in full in order to build good credits. But what we didn't say is that you shouldn't be carrying a balance on that credit card, because that could hurt your credit score. That leads us into myth number 3. So, myth no. 3 is that if you pay your bill before the closing date, then you won't get charged any interest. This one kind of goes back and forth. Some people understand it, some people don't. So let me explain it. There are 2 dates on your credit card bill. There's the closing date and there's the due date. What happens is between those 2 dates, you're accumulating charges, right? And then when you get to the closing date, that's where they take a snapshot of everything that you've charged, and then they apply any interest that needs to be applied. After that closing date, whatever you charge after that closing date, you're not going to see that hit your credit card bill. You're not going to see that hit your credit report until the next billing cycle. So you can actually go ahead and charge something after that closing date, and it will show up on your next billing cycle. So when you see that, you'll be able to pay that off. Now, when it comes to the due dates, that's the date that you're supposed to pay off your entire balance by. So if you don't pay it off by that date, then you're going to start accruing late fees and penalties. But you can look at the closing date as the date that you're supposed to pay off everything by. If you do want to get charged any interest, so if you pay it off by that closing date, then you shouldn't be charged any interest. But if you pay it off by the due date, then you shouldn't be charged any late fees or penalties. Does that make sense? Okay, so hopefully that cleared that up. Next up is myth no 4. Let's go. So myth no 4, you should only use your credit card for big purchases. And that's not true either. You can use your credit card for anything and everything. And as long as you're paying it off on time, then you shouldn't have any problems. But what we hear a lot is that people want to use their credit cards for big purchases because they want to take advantage of rewards programs. I totally get that. However, if you're going to do that, you have to make sure that you're really going to be able to pay off that credit card bill on time. Otherwise, those rewards and benefits don't matter because you're still paying a lot more than you would have originally. So as long as you know that you're going to be able to pay it off, then go ahead and use your credit card for whatever you want to. But the reason why people think that is because they do not want to accumulate a lot of debt. And if you're using a credit card and you're not paying it off, then you are accumulating debt, and that's not good. So if you're using a credit card and you are paying it off, then you're not accumulating any debt. Technically, you have a loan that you have to pay off. But that's different than having high-interest debt. Those are two different things. So, yeah, just use your credit cards for whatever you want to. All right, now we're moving on to myth no 5. So myth no 5 is that if you don't use your credit card often enough, then it will close. Yeah, I've heard people say that, and I've seen it happen too. Usually, what ends up happening is they end up canceling the credit card themselves. But the reason why people think that is because when you don't use your credit card, then it looks like it's inactive and they might close the account. That does happen sometimes. It depends on the bank. However, most banks or credit unions are not going to close the account unless you ask them to. They're not going to close it because you haven't used it in a while. What usually ends up happening is that you end up canceling the credit card yourself because you're not using it. Or sometimes it happens where they cancel the credit card because they think you might be a fraud risk or a credit risk. So, if you reach someone who has had your credit card for a long time and all of a sudden you start using it a lot more than you did before, they might think that somebody stole your credit card and they might end up closing it. But generally speaking, as long as you're using it a little bit every single month, then you shouldn't have any problems. Now, what I would recommend is that you use it at least once a month and just make sure that you're repaying it off in full. That's why you're not accruing any interest. And then if you do that, then your credit card should stay open. But we're not done yet. We have one more myth to go. So, myth no 6. You should get a new credit card every single year or two. Now, I don't know why people think like this, but a lot of people do. And that is probably because they want to take advantage of the sign-up bonuses for the credit card rewards programs. That makes sense. However, you don't need to do that. It's perfectly fine to keep a credit card for as long as you want to, as long as you're using it and you're paying it off. But a lot of people do want to do that because they want to take advantage of the different credit card offers that are out there. That's totally fine if you want to do that. But if you're happy with the credit card that you have, then you don't need to switch. Now, there is one exception to this rule. And what we're talking about is annual fees. If your credit card has an annual fee, and you don't think that it's worth it anymore, then it makes sense to cancel it and get a new one. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, then I would say That's a good idea to get a new credit card. But if you're just doing it to take advantage of the rewards program, then I wouldn't say that's the best idea. You can always do it, but I wouldn't say it's the best idea. So those were our 6 myths that you should stop believing about credit cards. I hope this helped you out. If it did, please leave us a thumbs up below and I'll catch you in the next one.